Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Lemonade Show. Can you believe it? We are on episode 5, which means that we're already halfway through this. It seems like we just kicked off the season and we're already halfway through. I do have spare tissue here. You can dry your eyes. But thus far the season has just been a tremendous amount of fun. I am so thankful for your support and the fact that you continue to come back week after week. And once again, my name is John Drawless. I teach world history at Clarkson High School, and I am also a real estate agent throughout Southeast Michigan with Brookstone Realtors. And keep in mind that the purpose of the show is, we're faced with a lot of negativity nowadays, whether that's through social media or whatever the avenue happens to be. Okay, and I really just wanted to provide every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I wanted to provide every Tuesday at 7 o'clock just something that is uplifting, right? Something that is encouraging, something that if you're going through something difficult, there you can perhaps see some encouragement on, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's good things ahead. Okay. And so that is the purpose of the show and what we'll continue to do week after week for the next, for 5 more weeks. Okay. And that being said, that's exactly what we're going to do this week, right? It's all about encouragement, and I think a term we're going to come to frequently is reinvention. And so I am very happy to bring on my guest. I'm very happy to bring on my guest. Her title is actually a reinvention guide. So if we're talking reinvention, if we're talking about finding opportunity out of difficulty, then Melissa Kramer is going to be the guest that you've been waiting for. So without further ado, I'm happy to bring on board to the Lemonade Show, Melissa.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you for coming on board and being willing to be a guest in the Lemonade Show.
I'm honored to be your halfway point. I don't know. It's sort of a point of inflection. So now we'll see. Do we go up or down from here?
well, if not, then this might be the last time you're. I'm joking. So, all right. So so Melissa, one thing we'd like to do on the show is obviously kind of start with a little bit of the backstory. And so tell me kind of. What is a reinvention guide, and then how did you find yourself in that space?
Sure. Well, a reinvention guide is a name that I've given myself because I came out of the corporate world after about 20 years working in advertising. I started in media and then moved into sales. And titles were always such an important part of my career, always going for that new, bigger, better title. And after, which I'll tell you about through my story of reinvention, but after I left the corporate world, and even as I was making my way out, I became more and more aware of the unimportance of the title. It's more of the work and the action that you do than what that label is that you have slapped on you. And officially, commonly, you could call me a coach. But, having been in sports all of my life and having different images of having some great coaches and having some terrifying coaches, I tend to shy away from the title coach, although I do have a coaching certification. I have lots of different certifications, but I prefer just reinvention guide because that's what I do. I guide people through transitions and changes in their life, very much like the ones that I went through that I share my experience with and kind of guide from that baseline of some understandings that I came through my very interesting story. Well, I think it's interesting.
And kind of to that point, if you're the one that's developing the title itself, right? Because you mentioned the pros and cons of title, then you also get to be the one that gets to define it. Right?
Totally. And I've heard since I've shifted into the entrepreneurial space, leaving the very rigid corporate world and even, working in tech and advertising, people took liberties with titles. It kind of got a little more flexible, but in the entrepreneurial space, I have come across some incredible titles. In fact, the official title for the business, Nowhere Tour LLC, that my partner and I have, I am officially the CEO, but we like to call that the Chief Extraordinator, which just means I wear a lot of different hats.
And so what are some of those hats?
Oh, let's see. I am social director. I am a terrible bookkeeper and accountant. I am the scheduler and admin. I'm a kick butt IT person. And then I'm a content creator and apparently a web designer. And now I'm adding to my length. As you see, I've got quite a, quite a list there. I just launched a YouTube channel that is very, very new. And hilariously, in the rolling credits at the end, I have producer, writer, editor, host, which I think you probably have no idea what that's like, right, John?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. It's one of those things where, and again, you can relate where I like to think of the idea of, okay, I'm going to swim in my lane, but sometimes, like, if you're the only swimmer, then you got to just take care of it, right?
Right. Just get it done, whatever it takes. Especially, and it's a lot easier when you actually can see your product at the end, which was something that I wasn't necessarily experiencing in my corporate world. I was following orders. I was doing what, was expected of me. And I was just a wheel or a cog in the wheel, right? And now in this new world, from ideation to implementation all the way through, I'm seeing the whole process and I actually see the result, which is so gratifying for me, especially because it's something I really care about.
Yeah. And so, in talking about, your deep care for what it is that you're, for what it is you're doing now. And so if you're willing, kind of dive into the backstory a little bit here.
Totally. I'd love to. So, I mentioned that I spent about 20 years in corporate advertising, mostly in sales and at the very end, sales leadership. And I also so I'm originally from the Metro Detroit area. And up until about 6 years ago, 6, 7, I've lost track. I was married, living in Birmingham. I have 2 children, and I was working this career. And my life was the beautiful, picture perfect American dream. It was the blueprint that I had always believed I was supposed to be following. Go to good college. I went to Albion, go Brits. I was actually a cheerleader for a couple of seasons at Albion College and, got a great job after that. Met a person who seemed like a really great match. We got married, had kids, just did it all. And during the course of life, moving on, I got to a point where things looked gorgeous on the outside, but something was off kilter on the inside. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I just, stuck, put my head down and kept going. And to even think that I was unsettled or, I was really scared because I felt like something wasn't right in my life and I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And I also was doing a lot of things. I was, we can call it destructive behavior. I can call it major denial. Some of my habits, including like compulsive, excessive shopping and just ignoring problems and conflict in my life. No one would have really known that to look at me. They would have seen, oh, Melissa's always wearing an amazing outfit and she's always so happy. And, what I like to say is I was superficially happy, but deep down, and I thought I was happy, except that I had this like lingering feeling. And deep down inside, I did not know what it meant to be truly happy at my core because I was going through the motions and following a plan blindly without ever stopping to ask myself some real questions. And then one day, like many of us, usually when a major change happens in your life, it's not by choice. Something happens, there's a circumstance that creates that wake up call moment, the bucket of ice water being dumped on your head, whatever you want to call it. I have on my YouTube channel, the very first video that I have is my story of explaining why I now am a reinvention guide and why I, spoiler alert, specialize in helping women reinvent their lives after divorce. And that visual that I have is a mirror shattering, because that's the best example that I can think of that I'd look in the mirror, but I wasn't really looking in the mirror. And in 2012, I came to the realization that a lot of the lies basically that I'd been telling myself, I hadn't really been looking. And I learned that my marriage was not healthy. It wasn't what I thought it was. And because I hadn't really been eyes wide open about it, I kept thinking, oh, this is just a rough patch. It's a phase. We have 2 really little kids, we'll get through this. When truly we were grossly misaligned individuals who were operating in very different places and planes. But I flipped out because this whole beautiful picture that I had in my mind that I was presenting, it wasn't real. And I did not know what to do with myself. So that was probably, we've all had moments in our lives where, bad things have happened, and we've had that like minute, and I've made a lot of mistakes and a lot of things have happened in my life, but that moment for me was the most devastating, defining moment of my life, because I had never, ever been that lost and facing the reality that I didn't know what I was doing because I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit of a rough patch, but what I really did and what pulled me out of it, because I was so befuddled. I didn't know what to do. I really wanted to fix it. I wanted to fight to be safe. I wanted to stay in that comfort zone, in that world that I created, when the reality that I eventually came to learn was that the better thing for everyone was that we move on and have better, happier existences and experiences outside of that relationship. And what helped me get to that point was, first and foremost, just looking at my children, because I hadn't viewed myself as worthy enough or, reason enough to pick up and carry on for myself. I had to do it for my kids because they were very small and they didn't deserve to have a weak, just a broken mother. I was looking at myself and just feeling like looking in the mirror and just not seeing anything looking back at me at that point. And I wanted to stand up for them and be there for them. So I just kind of started thinking about, all right, what do I need to do to get things on track? And that began and launched into a very long journey of self-discovery, of starting with asking myself questions that I have never stopped to ask myself before. And they're the scary questions, it's I didn't even start with who am I, because that was like beyond my capacity at the beginning. But what do I want? What can make this situation better? And always thinking about what is the best thing. Lemonade, I love your show. I love the title, the whole reason behind it, because it is, how can I take this situation that just sent me into a nervous breakdown, panic attack, to picking myself up and having a good life for myself, for my kids, for the man that I'm married to, because everyone deserves have a good life.
Yeah, and there's just there's so much there, right? Because I keep coming back to my thoughts keep coming back to what your explanation is like. You it seems as though you felt as though you were living like a house of cards.
Yeah. I don't not to be like a mirage
foundation, but the reality is there's not really the foundation there. And then unquestionably, you probably also, I don't know, but you probably also felt like the societal pressures to kind of, okay, I'm going to hold this all together.
oh, and what are people going to think? And just, with my upbringing, I'm from a very large family, and, just facing the idea of divorce, there was already divorce in my family, but at the same time, you always think, but that's for other people, not for me. And the whole idea of the image that was out there. And, people were shocked when they found out that we were getting divorced. But we are in such better places. We are better parents. We are better people. And the wonderful thing that I experienced going through my own, the whole point of reinvention, really, and what I share with people, it's internal and it's external. Mm-hmm. Because you have to come to your awareness and your understanding of some key foundational things about yourself, about your perspective, about how you are showing up and responding to the conditions in the world around you before you can start changing the conditions around you and making them sustainable and making them effectively positive for you. Mm. And, that's easy words to fly out of my mouth and really difficult to implement and put into practice because it's not what we have been doing before. So it's a journey.
So you have so obviously to kind of stay true to the to the theme of the show, in 2012 you have this lemon, right?
Oh, I know lemon. Yeah.
And so then, okay, what was your lemonade moment?
My lemonade moment probably came the day, like I said, I started self-reflecting, and I started looking, I started reading books and just trying to surround myself with positive messages of encouragement and things, understanding that I needed to go beyond the scope that I was in. And I would say that my lemonade moment probably came the day that I realized that no matter what happened in my life, I was going to be totally fine. And at the time, I had no idea what was going to happen. I was pretty sure that I was going to end up divorced, but it hadn't even gotten to that point yet. It was right before we actually went to that step. So a whole lot, I kind of feel like I went through, in my own experience, my divorce before the actual divorce happened. And then the divorce part was pretty easy because a lot of that energy, the feelings of loss and the emotion and everything, I had already worked through for myself. That's what got me to the point of being okay to go through it. And at the same time, when there are a lot of questionable, negative things going on in your life, you tend to perpetuate them. You're thinking negatively and you're just attracting. It's like a magnet. I always say negativity begets negativity. And sometimes the best thing you can do, we're all about taking the lemonade, and sometimes you just got to realize this is a lemon in my hand. It has the capability of making a juice without being all Susie Sunshine. It's going to be the best lemonade ever, and it's going to make me $1 million and all this other stuff. But it's like, this is fact. This is not bad. This isn't bad because it's a lemon, just because some people don't like them. This is just a lemon that gives juice, and that could hydrate me. Okay, well, let's see what we can do with that. And that's really what I try to help bring people to, that level point when they're down really low, because I was down really low and in my personal life. And then I started making choices about my career because I wasn't happy in that either, because I just wasn't happy. So I was trying to find my way. So at that point, that I'm going to be okay moment, and that realization that it's okay that I don't know. And it's actually maybe good, because I've been forcing things for a long time that I thought were good that weren't good for me. They just looked pretty. So I don't know, is that lemonade-y enough? Was it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously, having been to your website and listening to you speak, I keep coming back to the idea also of identity, how identity is a key piece of all this. And so, like, obviously, without giving away all your trade secrets, but how do you the people that you help out, because obviously this is an experience that you've walked through as well. I mean, that's, the story you just shared.
Yeah.
So how do you help people to sort of tap into their identity?
Yeah, well, and that's a great point, because really, I mean, my own experience inspired me to move into doing this, because I've always loved people and connected with people and wanted to help them. And the best parts of what I did corporately were the parts where I was really connecting with people. It had nothing to do with the function of the job. So in the world that I was in, the identity and what you append your worth and your self-worth and your image to was something that I saw. I saw it harm people in so many ways, because they're addicted to the identity that they have based on so many superficial things that don't have anything to do with who they really are. Mm-hmm. And so one of the first things that I do when I'm helping people, and in particular, so because I've moved into really this passion of working with women who are reinventing their lives after divorce, I initially started really working with people with negative mindset, mm-hmm. and helping get to that level place of breaking free from the nasty mind, is what I called it, because your nasty mind, including your ideas of your identity, will hold you back and hold you prisoner. And that's very much how I felt in my life. So it's really to look at the situation that you're in. So for the example of divorce, and just take the time to self-reflect, and even not even going too deep, because sometimes it's too hard to go too deep in the earliest phases, but just to look at the idea of, all right, what are these things that I think I am? So if I'm divorced, write down the word divorce on a piece of paper, and then write down every word that you think of that you associate with divorce, because these are all things that are in your mind. And this is something that you identify with. Mm-hmm. And then you can start categorizing and go through. And once you've done a complete, brainstorm, you can look at, well, what are the positive things that I've written down? And what are the negative things that I've written down? And what are the just straight up facts that I've written down? Are there any, or are these all things that have emotion tied to them? Because our ideas about identity are tied to, the conditioning and so much that we get from society, ways we're raised, what the media is telling us, what our careers are telling us we're supposed to be doing to be able to be in that job, which we think we need to make money, to make a living. And they're also tied to feelings, like emotions that we attach to, that aren't necessarily, and usually aren't at all, what you really are. It's just based on these ideas and opinions that aren't real. So it's really getting down to the core and then recognizing I am not that. So with going back to the example of divorce, you've got all your positive and negative words, and you can say, I am not, or even starting with just divorce is not ruining my life. Divorce is not, a mortal sin. Divorce is not, like, whatever the things are that people may think, making me a bad person, all these things that you attach, and that builds into your identity, and your sense of self and how you feel about yourself will impact how you show up, the actions you take, the actions you don't take. So it's really breaking it down and getting to these ideas, because the identity is, well, going back to, it's the mirage. It's the story we make up about ourselves. Yeah. So you want to make something up, make it good. And make it real. I mean, make it good real.
Let's see. In my mind, I'm still a professional. I'm a professional athlete now. So we talked about like your lemonade moment, but then how is it that you're able to see the lemonade, and like when you're basically just, okay, all right, you've graduated, you're all set, you're ready to be re-released to the world in whatever in this new identity that you have, and so basically, like as a reinvention guide, how do you know when your clients are able to make lemonade?
Very good question. Very interesting question. Well, one of the things that's really interesting in working with people, and when people come to me, I do have the challenge and the good fortune of only having people who are ready to get help. They have an understanding that they want to change something and make something better. So, people don't come to me in a straitjacket being forced, it's very, very voluntary. And, so that's really a first step. And that's actually a challenging thing, because as an empathetic person and a person who sees and cares so much about people, and because it's very easy when people naturally just want to share with you and how they show up. I have a tendency that people like to tell me everything about themselves, whether I like it or not. But it's beautiful. But there are so many things that they can't see for themselves. We can't see our outside from the inside. And sometimes that's exactly, I have a wonderful mentor who says, you cannot read the label from inside the jar. And as a guide, as a coach, as someone who is dedicated to, and, I have this as a gift with people, I see that label that I can very much, by asking some simple questions, if it's not already just naturally coming out, I can see where the areas are that are most prevalent and most ripe, if we're going to use a fruit analogy, but most ripe for opportunity to make those changes where they most need them, that will be most helpful and most effective first.
Yeah. And this again, it may not have been your intent, but just kind of the way my mind is wired. I'm circling back to your, the original statement that you made regarding your YouTube video of the shattered mirror.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, maybe I'm way off on this. I don't know. But it seems as though it also is kind of metaphor for changing that vision, the image that we have of ourselves, so that we can put everything back. I don't know. I mean, am I kind of close on this?
Well, yeah, you are, because when you think about it, I mean, just using, my own example, I was very, very set with this identity of who I thought this person was. This, rock star salesperson, super mom, super wife, super fashionable, all these things that I showed up, and it was work to make all of these things part, because I was super conscious of it. There were these things that, again, I was working at to make sure that I showed up that way, instead of and I had to break that down and get to the core of, hey, I still like clothes. I still have, it's not like I went through a lobotomy and I'm a completely different person. It's how that person shows up. And it's not work anymore, because now I know, and, getting to that point of what I am, what I truly care about, and that identity. I mean, we all still have some sense. It's virtually impossible to go through life without any sense of identity, but it's how aware are you? And I'm really big on constantly checking in with yourself, because we are in a world, and we were just talking about it before, John. I mean, the world is flying by, even when we are in this crazy time where we can't, you can't go anywhere and you feel so restricted, yet often we're super busy still. We're like overwhelmed with other things, even if it's, not the good stuff, if you're consuming a lot of media and things like that. But what we're not doing is taking the time to really check in and ask yourself some questions, because if you just do a little temperature check, how am I feeling about things? And is there something that's not setting well with me right now? And how can I make that better? What could make this better? And it's something that, often we push it down because we're just too busy. Oh, I'll get over, suck it up.
I'll handle my mental health when I don't have anything else going on.
Exactly. And that never happens. You've got to make time, and, self-care is super important. And even just that, taking those quiet moments, because it's not very often that they show up for us. We have to make them, and you have to make a point to make them, so that you can really make sure that you're not creating a snowball.
Right.
It's better to create lemonade.
Yeah, no, that's and fantastic. I mean, it just really speaks to the idea of actually, one thing I talk about, with my students all the time is the importance of interpersonal awareness, and it does make such a huge difference when you are able to kind of take that time in those moments to really internalize and ask yourself, okay, how really am I doing? And and to be honest with ourselves, I mean, that's usually the hardest.
Totally. And sometimes, going back to your earlier question, I mean, that's one of the things that when we recognize, because I mean, for me, in my experience, I was at a point, I didn't really know what kind of options were out there. I knew that I had to work some stuff out, and I didn't know how to do it for myself. So I went to therapy first. And I recognized really quickly that therapy wasn't really for me because of just the methods and the way that the particular therapist I was with, really rooting in the past. And what I learned from therapy, though, that was really important and a turning point, aside from the fact that my therapist did recommend that I become a therapist, which I thought was really funny. But I know, right? But I recognized the importance of having a dialogue with someone who is objective and being able to actually think about the questions that I was being asked and to say the answers out loud. I mean, I told that woman things that I had never said out loud in my entire life. And just the difference that it makes in your life when you speak the things that you've never let out before and the things you learn about yourself. So a great way to if you can't check in with yourself, or if it's hard, getting that third party professional check-in who can just ask you those few questions because they know how and they know why to bring you to your point of seeing what your better opportunity is, to see you through the challenge so that you can have some refreshing lemonade. I mean, it's really... It's important, whether you can do it on your own or you need someone's help. And there's no shame in the game of getting some help. I mean, that's, a big.
And I mean, I love the metaphor of, kind of letting out, and obviously in a safe situation, right? But letting it out because it's kind of speaks to the metaphor that darkness can't conquer light, like light defeats darkness. So like letting it out, that's the way to conquer any sort of, the dark or the downness that you might be feeling in those circumstances.
So true. So true.
Now there's a couple of announcements, right? One is you have something going on tomorrow, correct?
I do. Look at you. Very nice.
I don't think I know what I'm doing.
You're doing there or something. Yes. So tomorrow, I actually have been doing some individual work, and I've been doing a lot of just sort of out of the goodness of my desire to help women who are struggling with finding themselves, reinventing their lives after divorce. I launched a YouTube channel back in August called Real Rad Women. And there's also a Facebook page. And it's a community just built to inspire women who are struggling or considering, their options, who are just not sure, with the stories of women who have reinvented their lives and have come through some just incredible circumstances. So that is something that I've been focused on. And now I'm shifting to help and work with more women. And I am doing an event tomorrow where I'm going to be sharing the foundational principles, some of the just really basic things that everyone needs when they are encountering a reinvention, when they're going through any kind of change that they need to navigate. I mentioned earlier just making sure that you've got when I was talking about the inner and the outer, and making sure that you've got that foundation set so that you can then go on and take those actions and make those changes built on something solid. I mean, the foundation is super important. It's something that is missing a lot when we go through and try and do something new. Think about New Year's resolutions. Think about, every failed weight loss or health program fitness program that anyone has ever tried, because we jump right to action.
Yeah.
And while the action can start out really well, we fizzle off because the foundation isn't there. So there's some stuff that needs to happen before you can really start building on it so that it doesn't, house of cards, so it doesn't fall down. So I'm going to share some of that information and provide some more insights and detail on how you can get started on your reinvention after divorce.
Love it. Love it. And so obviously we keep saying tomorrow.
Wednesday, October 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be going live. So you've got that awesome link there. And if for whatever reason you missed the link, or even if you happen to watch this after Wednesday, the 28th at 7, you can still go to my website, which is Rad New Life. So rad, because rad, awesome. And I cannot say the word without smiling ever. And it also stands for Reinvention After Divorce. So if you go to Rad New Life, the first thing you'll see right now on the homepage is this giant screen where you can also register for the event as another alternative. Because it's potentially going to be available after the date. So, but I'm only doing it on this one day. So,
and Rad New Life is also scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, and you've also got my social, which is Real Rad Women. Beautiful.
And the webinar link for Melissa's webinar is also posted in the comments on the Facebook page. And so if you're on my personal Facebook page watching this at home, you got to shift over to my business page, because that's the one it's shared with. So you have to go over to my real estate page in order to see that. But it is there. And then Melissa, after this, I'll make sure it shares to my personal page as well. So it'll be in both locations.
Thank you. Another thing really quickly that I'm just, aside from those three things that is super important, I've got some info that I'm going to share so here's something special just for your viewers, a gift that I'm going to be offering, some more information about some of the habits, the most common habits that we have in our lives that are stopping us from moving forward and from being productive in anything. So this isn't just about divorce, even though that's where I'm working. It's really your reinvention. It's your career. It's building a business, launching into being an entrepreneur is a crazy step, especially from the corporate world, and who isn't dreaming about being their own boss? And it's totally different in reality than it is in dream. So,
function like on Shark Tank. Oh, I have an idea. Investors, come here.
Exactly. Everybody.
Yeah. So, well, Melissa, we've got one last thing to do. And the reason why I know that is because my halo lights are starting to go out here. It's a limited charge. I buy the cheapest ones I possibly can. And so we need to enter the gauntlet. Now, I didn't, when we were backstage before the show started, I didn't really explain the rules to you really. So when I ask the questions, I have 5 questions for you. The first time I ask the questions, you don't give the answer. You just keep it inside your internal monologue. Okay. And the folks at home, you answer the 5 questions. And then after the 5th question, you hit enter on your Facebook feed and it'll show up here. And, or you can send it, you can email it to myself, or even to Melissa, either one of us. And so if you are able to match if your answers, all 5 match Melissa's answers, you will have another unique opportunity. Melissa?
Yes. All right. So I just mentioned that even though I work with divorced women, I don't just work with divorced women. I help people through all kinds of reinvention. And because of that, and I know you have a varied audience, I am offering a free discovery call. So anyone that matches my answers will receive a free one-on-one call where we can go through. And if you know that there's something that you're working on that you're struggling with, and you want some help identifying what that next step is that you can take to really get over that hurdle, or if you don't know what you're struggling with and think that you might be able to uncover something because you just don't feel like everything's firing on all cylinders, I can help with that too. So lots of opportunities to maximize a call about reinvention.
Yeah, what a great opportunity. So, so hopefully we'll get somebody to match all 5.
And hopefully 500 people don't match all 5.
Well, out of our millions of viewers, there's a good. No, sure.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. So I will send out, the winners will get a calendar link and they'll be able to schedule a call.
Exactly. All right. So question number 1, remember, don't answer out loud. All right. Question number 1. You lived in Michigan your whole life. So I got to know, which do you prefer? Which month in Michigan is the pure Michigan month? Is it July or September? Those are your 2 choices.
Okay.
All right. So folks at home, July or September for a pure Michigan month. All right. Another sort of pure Michigan question. Now I know, you're from the Tri-County area. You mentioned you lived in Birmingham for a while, went to Albion, but you're up in Traverse City right now, which is a little closer to the bridge. So you're still a troll, but you're a little closer to the UP than we are here. So I have to ask, if it's a Michigan comfort food, are you going pasty or coney? So pasty or coney. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I should be posting these for you here so you can see. All right. Question number 3. What is more likely to get you to absolutely belly laugh? Okay, more likely to belly laugh. All right. Something random, unexpected that just sort of happens, random occurrence, or a really well-timed, well-told joke. All right. All right. Now, so here's a fun one. So we are obviously in the age of COVID and distance everything and blah, 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 blah. And we have the advantage, obviously, of only really seeing what we're wearing from the torso up. So you don't have to prove it, but like right now, from waist down, are you business or are you comfort? And you don't have to prove it. We'll take your word for it.
Such a great question.
All right. And now you've got, you live in Traverse City, and I know that Traverse City is known for its wine, and so is Petoskey. So when it comes to like, girls' weekend at the wineries, better time is at Traverse City or is it Petoskey? Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, folks at home, you can start to enter your questions and and so as those so they again sometimes they come in right away. Just obviously, Melissa, I'm just talking to you, not the audience. So sometimes again, some folks they watch on tape and they come in a little bit later. So we might not have like an announced winner just yet. All right, so let's go back to question number 1. Pure Michigan. Is Pure Michigan September or is Pure Michigan July?
Well, for me, particularly here, and this is something people who know me may be shocked by, but I think Pure Michigan is September. I'm a summer girl, but sometimes July is chilly here. And the fall colors that don't exist everywhere else in the world, this is pretty awesomely Pure Michigan in September. And it's still warm in September, so...
Yeah, so I mean, like you get to enjoy the Leafs without being branded a Leaf peeper. So, all right.
September.
Yeah. So September. All right. Michigan comfort food. All right. So a UP pasty or like a Detroit coney dog. What are we going for comfort?
I was born in Detroit, and I would absolutely lose my citizenship card if I did not say coney. Right. It's hands down coney.
Yeah, and there is something about a Coney. Now, I'm with you on the September one, but I'm actually opposite on this one. And just so I can stay out of trouble, my mother-in-law is a Uber, and so she makes homemade pasties. So if I said Coney, I would be in trouble.
That's you're totally fine with that.
All right, belly laugh. What's going to bring you to a belly laugh? Something random, unexpected, or a really well-timed, well-told joke?
This was a hard one because I find all kinds of weird things funny, and I feel like I'm always laughing. So because I feel like I'm always laughing, I think it's the random, unexpected that I find more of that belly laugh. And in fact, yesterday I was crying hysterical over the weirdest, stupidest thing that was so random. So random, unexpected.
Right. There is just something about it, right? Where, like a joke, you're like, okay, I'm waiting for it. But like, if it's random, unexpected, then it just hits you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. We watch a lot of comedy, and there is such an art to the well-timed, well-crafted joke. But I think that you get me with a random funny every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Now this one again, we'll take your word for it. You seem like a very honest and forthcoming person, so we'll take your word for it. But currently.
The fact that I'm wearing fuzzy slippers, comfort. Although I am wearing pants. In fact, I'm wearing 2 pairs of pants because I am not good in the cold. As soon as the temperature goes below 70 degrees, I have to start layering up. So I'm wearing fleece-lined leggings and jeans, but I have fuzzy slippers on. So I'd say I'm all about comfort.
There you go. And all right, now last one. Do you get to keep your Traverse City card here, or are you going to get in some trouble?
Absolutely. And Traverse City Wineries all the way. If you really wanted to throw me, you could have asked me if I was Leelanau Peninsula or Old Mission Peninsula, and that would have been a trickier one. But no, it's funny. When you live in Traverse City, Petoskey is really far away. Like I'm in Birmingham almost every other week, or every week really. And I have been to Petoskey this year. Well, COVID different, but so let's say under normal circumstances, I'll maybe get up to Petoskey just a couple times a year. Mm-hmm. So it's like a distance.
Yeah, I hear you. And what a great situation. Just being in such close proximity to both, Petoskey as well, but the 2 that you mentioned, the Old Mission and Leelanau. So
it's part of the whole reinvention story. I would not have imagined in my wildest dreams that I would be sitting here right now from my house in Traverse City talking to you. It's really been an incredible, amazing journey of all kinds of redesigns in my life.
Perfect. Well, and again, obviously, things have worked out very well for you, and so folks watching at home, if an identity guide is something that you are looking for, something that you can really benefit from, or somebody that right?
Yes.
And someone that reach out. You can reach out to myself. I'll connect you with Melissa, or reach out to Melissa directly, and and go ahead and take that step towards that the idea of identity there. And but Melissa, I want to thank. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. I was just going to thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so thank you so much for being a guest on episode 5 of season 2, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm sure that your clients absolutely feel the same way, are just as thankful for the influence that you have and the confidence they have in them. So thank you for that.
It's an official deal for sure. I really enjoy it, and I'm very fortunate and grateful that this is what I get to do. So thank you.
Very good. Very good.
And check out Real Rad Women on YouTube if you like content and like hearing stories about people who have done just, really amazing things in their lives from a place of sourness to making lemonade. There are a lot of amazing women on there. I've just got a couple episodes now, but I have more coming. So go check it out.
Perfect. Absolutely. And the everything is scrolling across the bottom. And so it's there for you, for everyone to go ahead and check out. But that being said, we will see everybody next Tuesday. Now, something's going on next Tuesday. What's going on next Tuesday? Oh, my goodness, it's an election. So I don't know. What do you think? Maybe we can use a little bit of lemonade after dealing with what we're going to deal with. So, yes, we're still going to have a lemonade show next week. And just to at least give you a break of, a half hour, 45 minutes of positivity amidst all the election chaos. So that will be taking place, and we'll be announcing our guests real soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right. But that being said, enjoy the rest of your week. That's about it. Enjoy.